Okay, so let's dive into this incredible story. It's about one man's decades-long battle against the state. And here's the thing. He wasn't just coming with claims. He was armed with mountains of evidence. But instead of justice, his lawyers say he was met with, well, a wall of systematic obstruction. You know, this quote right here, it's really the key to understanding this whole affair. The point isn't that his facts were wrong. The argument is that the fight felt hopeless because the system itself was allegedly hiding the very path to justice. So, that really begs the question, right? What do you do when the very system designed to deliver justice becomes the thing you have to fight against? In this explainer, we're going to break down that exact question, using the complex Smedema case from the Netherlands as our guide. All right, first things first. To really get what's going on here, we have to wrap our heads around a central concept, something the legal documents call a Kafkaesque val, or a Kafka trap. So what is a Kafka trap? Well, here's how it allegedly works in this case. An individual comes forward with decades of claims, tons of evidence, but instead of looking at that evidence, the state, according to his lawyers, just turns it all back on him. They attack his credibility, his sanity. It's this perfect, vicious circle of denial. And what this trap does is create two completely opposite competing realities, two narratives that are at the very heart of this entire conflict. Okay, this table really lays it all out, doesn't it? It crystallizes the core dilemma here. On one side, you've got the state's narrative. This is a persecutory delusion. It's all in his head, a mental health issue. But on the other side, you have the claimant's case. No, this is a persecutory reality. It's a totally rational response to real external events, all backed by official documents. So if you look at it from the state's perspective, it's pretty straightforward. They see this complex, intricate story not as evidence of a massive conspiracy, but as a classic symptom of a delusional disorder. End of story. But, and this is a huge but, the claimant's legal team just completely flips that on its head. They argue his psychological state isn't some pre-existing disorder, it's a direct injury. They're talking about complex PTSD, CPTSD, caused by what they call decades of chronic, inescapable institutional betrayal. So it's a wound, not a delusion, a huge difference. And all of this leads us to the absolute core of the current legal case. See, the strategy here isn't about relitigating stuff that happened decades ago. The focus has shifted. It's all about looking at the alleged pattern of obstruction that's happening right now. And this timeline, this is really the backbone of their legal argument. It's meant to show a consistent pattern, a history of official refusal that spans decades. We're talking about allegedly erasing a key dossier, ordering prosecutors to stop investigating, denying legal aid. It's a long list. And this slide really drills down into the specific actions, or maybe more importantly, the inactions, that make up this claim of obstruction. You see, it's not just one big thing. It's a whole cascade of alleged failures. Things like refusing to even file a police report, blocking access to his own files, even refusing a simple DNA test. It's the whole pattern that matters here. So you hear all this, and it raises a pretty massive question, right? I mean, is it really plausible that a modern European justice system could fail so completely? Could this kind of systemic obstruction actually happen? Well, to answer that, we have to look at something else that happened in the Netherlands, a recent huge national scandal that provides some shocking but absolutely crucial context. This quote, blind to people and the law, comes from the parliamentary committee that investigated the Dutch childcare benefit scandal, or the Toeslagen Affair, and their finding was just devastating. Get this. The official investigation concluded that all three branches of the Dutch government, we're talking the cabinet, the parliament, and the judiciary, had violated fundamental rights and basically thrown the rule of law out the window. So what the Toeslagen Affair does is lend this critical plausibility to this Smedema case. It shows there's a precedent. It suggests that maybe, just maybe, the claimant's story isn't some isolated fantasy, but another symptom of a known, documented institutional problem, a kind of sickness within the state itself. Okay, so when you're faced with decades of these kinds of roadblocks, what do? The claimant's legal team realized that banging their heads against the same wall wasn't working. They needed a totally new strategy, an innovative way to try and break through this alleged wall of denial. And here it is. The legal breakthrough comes from this really powerful concept, the ongoing wrongful act, or onrechtmatige daad. This one idea completely reframes the timeline. The argument is that the offense, the injury, isn't some single event way back in the past. No, it's a continuous failure to act. And that means every single day the state allegedly fails to investigate, it commits a new wrongful act. The injury is happening right now. And why is that so important? Well, for one, it completely neutralizes the statute of limitations. The state can't just say, sorry, that was too long ago. This argument is based on a precedent from other cases where courts ruled that if victims were effectively blocked from getting justice, then the clock on that statute of limitations just stops ticking. So this all boils down to a really clever three-step legal strategy. First, you don't sue for the historical crimes. You see the state where these separate act of obstructing justice. Second, you define that obstruction as an ongoing, wrongful act that causes fresh harm every single day. And third, you link all the damages, financial, emotional, everything, directly to that decades-long refusal. It's a whole new battlefield, and the state's own inaction is what's on trial.
And that really leaves us with the ultimate question here. When a state puts up a wall of denial, can a single citizen, even one armed with piles of evidence and a brand new legal strategy, actually find a way to break through? It's a question that really tests the balance of power between a person and the state itself.